In this video, I'm going to provide a brief introduction to 4 different ways to run Python codes. There are other Python editors that are not discussed in this video, but these are quite common. I will also be providing brief examples of each one. So first, I'll discuss Spyder, which is a development environment that is packaged with the Anaconda Python distribution. For those familiar with coding in MATLAB or other types of programming languages with development environments, the Spyder environment will look familiar. The next is the Anaconda prompt. This is a command line interface that may be more familiar to Linux users or those that do a lot with command lines for other types of supercomputing applications or other high-performance computing. We will use this only minimally. We generally work with graphical environments that are more helpful for beginning users. Jupyter Notebook is a popular type of development environment for Python. This is an application used to share documents that have code that can be modified inside of the document and run there. And it can have some accompanying text, it could be explanatory, and can have outputs both from the code but also other figures or plots that are generated or figures that are demonstrating key concepts. And Google Colab is a platform online that uses the Google Cloud that lets you share notebooks. And Jupyter Notebooks work for more than just Python, and Google Colab also works for more than just Python, but they are quite frequently used for Python. To open Spyder, we're going to go look at our Anaconda distribution. And you notice here that we have Anaconda prompt, we have a Jupyter Notebook, and we have Spyder all in this Anaconda Python distribution. So I'll be opening each one of those. And they take a moment to load, so I'm going to go ahead and do all of them now. Spyder opens with an interface with multiple panels. Jupyter Notebook actually opens a browser window. The browser window was generated when Jupyter Notebook opened. So this black window opened in your default browser on the local host Jupyter Notebook. And the Anaconda prompt brought up a different command prompt window. So first let's look at Spyder. So there are several different areas that you can configure. You can drag the interfaces between them to make things show different, take up different areas of your screen. You can look at the variables that you have declared. So in the console window, you can use this like a calculator. You could say something like a new variable is equal to some calculated quantity, and then the variables will show up in the Variable Explorer. The File Explorer will show you the contents of the file folder that you're currently in. This area tells you which is the working directory where you're currently working. I'm going to move into the directory where I store files for this class. One of the materials here. So this is the folder that I would want to be in. If I create a new file, a new document in the editor, it will automatically open that new file into my current working directory. I'm going to make a very small file, first program, hello world. I'm going to define first a function, define hello, no inputs, so a pair of empty parentheses, and a colon. Python requires white space, so when I pressed enter, it automatically indented the appropriate amount of space. If I want my help command to be able to demonstrate, to have a certain manual information, I need to put 3 quotation marks, 3 double quotations, print hello world, and return no output. Quote, quote, quote. I'm going to actually put the print function to say hello world. And I am done with my function, so I need to not be tabbed over. The hashtag or # is how we make a comment, so main program. I want to run hello inside of this file. So I first made a function, but then I need to call the function. I'm going to save this file as Python demo.py. In the console, I can run this program in a couple of different ways. It can be in the editor and press the green arrow, and it will run it and execute it, and the output was the words hello world, because the function hello got called when I ran this. I could also say run Python demo, which is the file name that I have, and that would accomplish the same thing. The arrow is faster and is quite convenient. Now, going to the Anaconda prompt, I need to first navigate to the same folder where I stored that file. Once I'm in that folder, I can say Python and the name of the program I want to run, which is Python demo.py, and it outputs hello world. But I don't get I can't edit in here, so I'd have to edit in some other window. So I tend to not use the Anaconda prompt. Here is the Jupyter Notebook directory structure that opened. I can navigate to certain file folders on my computer. And so I moved into the file folder. This is a Python file, and I can see that I would actually like to do a new Python notebook file in that same directory. So I can say new, and I want a Python 3 notebook. It has a box, much like the console prompt. I can insert various things here. I can insert cells. I can run cells. I can have cells that contain text and cells that can contain code. So I know that I have that Python demo in this same folder, so I could just use these blank spots as a calculator, just like I could the console. And if I want to run it, I press Shift Enter, or I click up here and say run the cell. I could also store blocks of code in these different boxes. I could define functions. So I could have defined hello world here. Let's say I wanted a new function rather than the function I created in. Copy it. I'm going to call this define hello2 to say hello world 2. Okay. If I call the function hello2, it now gives that output. So there are ways to use the Jupyter Notebook that allow us to display and let users edit things. We can also interact with editing the cells to not just do mathematics, but to have markdown code. So we could say title hello world example, and it now shows up as text formatted in a certain way. So we could use this to build longer documents explaining certain things and showing our code and having instructions. And I could name this Python demo.ipython notebook. All right. Finally, let's go to Google Colab. Search Google Colab. It's colab.research.google.com. you can make a new notebook, or you can open one of the demo ones. I'll open the Welcome to Colab. It has some information. It shows you what the code is inside of different blocks. It shows you that you can edit and calculate. If I press Shift Enter, it will recalculate this number for me. There are various other things that it gives you examples of, blocks of Python code, the output from that Python code, etc. We can create new notebooks, and then it works just like the Python notebook did on the computer. And we can insert code, Shift Enter, run it, it will generate the output. It's 8. We could do a small function, and I'm going to insert another code below that. This says hello. I've ran this code, but I did not run this one. So see, it never numbered it. If I run this one, now run this one, it will work just fine. So you have to actually run the code that you print in order for things to work. So you can also use the Markdown and have nicely formatted text. And this will demonstrate for you what kind of preview what that is looking like. Right, and so if I Shift Enter, now that is nicely formatted. I can also rearrange these blocks. Maybe I really wanted that to be oriented earlier, and I can order these. Okay, so that's in Google Colab. These are shared in a Google Drive, and you can easily share them with teammates. So in summary, I've demonstrated 4 ways to run Python codes: Spider, which we do on desktop or laptop computers; the command prompt that only involves typing but no visual display; Jupyter Notebooks, which can have interactive text and other elements; and the Google Colab for online sharing and editing of Jupyter Notebooks.